Okay, so orientation, topic, focus, that's what OTF stands for. Now, let me first explain to you by means of an example text that I took from Elsevier's journal Healthcare. Actually, two example texts. What they actually are. I mean, what is it that I've been talking about for a couple of minutes already? I started with the text The Healthcare Innovation Bubble, and I also took the text Patient Portals and Health Apps. Just to be sure, a patient portal is like a website where all of your information is collected and you can find results from, I don't know, tests or blood pressure measurements or whatever. So I've been looking at both of these texts, and let me get you to the clean version of these texts where we go. Let's go first to the healthcare innovation bubble. This is the clean version. I'll show you the marked version later. Now, I will first just start showing you what orientation, topic, and focus are. Let me start with the topic because most people will know how to identify that as the subject, in Dutch het onderwerp of a sentence. So the thing that the verb is actually attached to. So it is in this case the topic. You see that before the topic there is something left over, namely in many ways, and that is what we call the orientation. So the orientation gives you, sort of eases you into the sentence, and it, the topic, the subject of the sentence, topic and subject are basically, semantically speaking, similar words. And then what follows, everything that follows until the period or the semicolon is this, till the period or the semicolon or any other like definitive marking of an end of a sentence, question mark, exclamation mark, what have you, is called the focus. So here we are. In many ways is the orientation, it, the topic, is the best of times for those amongst us who are interested in transforming American healthcare. Now look at the second sentence. What would be the orientation, what would be the topic, and what would be the focus? I'll give you a couple of seconds. And there we are. I hope you all find for the first time to be the orientation, there to be the topic, and is broad recognition of our deep quality problems and the long road ahead to improve them, is the focus. Now, the focus is what you really want to say. The topic is something you want to say something about, and the orientation is a way to frame it, to tell the reader, okay, something is going on in many ways, in many ways. Not always, but in many ways, it is the best times. For the first time, not the last time, not the second time, no, for the first time, something is going on. So for the first time, frames your mind, gives you an orientation on how to think. There is not a very significant topic yet. It's rather a generic. You find generic topics at the beginning of a text because a topic always needs to come from somewhere. For instance, had this is the topic of the next sentence. Had this be the topic of the first sentence, everybody would have thought, what question? Huh? But now, when it's in the third sentence, you can start thinking, okay, I kind of understand where this question comes from because things have changed. In many ways, it is now the best time, and for the first time, things have changed. What have changed? Well, something has changed. The question. The question is no longer whether we should expand access, but how. So the question is the topic, and the focus is no longer whether we should expand access, but how. This is an interesting sentence because the focus here is ends with the words but how. And here is the thing that you need to know. Whatever is at the end of the sentence remains in your reader's mind. So the words that you stop your sentence with are leading to the next sentence. If this had been a different sentence, like let me copy it here for you guys and paste it. The question is no longer whether we should expand access, but how. That's different than the question is now how we should expand access. Then suddenly expand access is more important than the fact that how we should do it. By ending the sentence with how, that makes how a lot more important. Now, let me restore the text to its original shape. So the next sentence, if we analyze that, we have here the topic and have moved on from documenting healthcare disparities to beginning to work close to them. So, while it was always the question in America, apparently, whether or not people should actually get access to the healthcare system, now the question is not whether they should get access, but how all of these people that are supposed to get access, how they are going to get it. So rather than always writing scientific articles about inequality, disparities in healthcare, now we're beginning to work with those disparities and trying to, make them disappear. I'm sorry. Next sentence. For the first time, we have health information technology and payment instrument with the abilities to support system transformation. This is a result of the previous for the first time. I mean, this writer is obviously fond of that one and apparently overwhelmed with how it has changed things. Remember, this is way before Trump started to reverse Affordable Care Act in the United States. Then here is another orientation. Whatever we think about the current state of electronic health record systems, there's something that we can apparently think about it, but he is taking that out of the equation now. Whatever we think about it, I don't care what we think about it. The HITECH Act's meaningful use provisions, there, give us a federal health IT infrastructure where there was none. So, I'm sorry. Apparently the most important thing that he wants to say again is there is now something where previously there was nothing. Okay, I'm hoping that you're getting the point. Let me look at this from a grammatical perspective. If you analyze a sentence, whatever is the subject is the topic. Whatever comes afterwards until the period is the focus, the thing you really want to say. And if there happens to be anything before the topic, anything that helps ease the reader into your sentence or helps the reader accept the claim that you're going to make in that sentence, then that is what we call the orientation. I have provided you with this document, with this analyzed document here. It's called the Healthcare Innovation Bubble Marked. And I marked the whole thing for you, or the first couple of paragraphs for you, so you can practice with whether or not you understand these concepts. Now, I would highly encourage you to take this text, save it, then clean all the markings and try if you can mark it yourself, just to know for sure that you actually get it. Let me see if I can find any example here. Ever before is also something that people sometimes consider an orientation because it's a temporal adjective, adverbial. It says something about the time ever before. However, it is at the very end of a sentence, and orientations are never at the end of a sentence. Like I said in the previous movie, if that's the one that was my final recording, I don't know which one was, but in one of my trial recordings, I said having an orientation at the end of the sentence is like having the introductory course to your program after you wrote your thesis. So you will never ever find an orientation at the end of a sentence.